Right, Die Another Day. Okay, so this is Pierce Brosnan's last James Bond film. Yeah, when I first saw this film, and in fact, this is the very first James Bond film I remember going to see at the cinema. I didn't see World Is Not Enough because I went to go and see Muppets in Space instead, and that was a bloody good movie. Great movie. Hulk Hogan was in it. But yeah, anyway. Anyway, yeah, Die Another Day. So jumping ahead just very quickly. When Casino Royale came out, which is obviously the next James Bond after this, myself and lots of people were blown away by that movie. It was kind of like a breath of fresh air, and it was a kind of a good sort of reboot of the character. No gadgets, no anything like that. Lots of people didn't like it though. I remember being at school and like a friend who I had at the time, we used to get into arguments about it as well. Mainly because like Die Another Day was a lot more fun, a lot more kind of like, haha, yeah, good time at the movies. It had everything there. Like it kind of it tried to outdo the last film. Like it was like, right, okay, we've done that. So now what do we do now? Okay, let's have James Bond windsurfing on a tsunami. Let's have a giant laser in space. Let's have an invisible car. Let's have some sword fighting for no apparent reason, just because why not? And I feel like a lot of people love this film for that reason. People really love the ridiculousness. And I'm kind of the mind where I think doing less sometimes is a good thing. But I do agree, kind of like doing more, it's only right. It's like when you watch Fast and Furious 8 and you've got cars that are parachuting out of a plane. The next one, it's like, well, what do we do? Well, we've got to have cars in space. It's a sequel. We've got to outdo the last one. And that's what this film does. That's what Die Another Day does. I'll get into more about Casino Royale later because I'm jumping ahead a little bit. But I sort of feel like I need to sort of like talk about both of them because they're so different and there's just such a huge just difference that it needs to be examined. But Die Another Day, Pierce Brosnan's great in it. I think he was about 50 when they were filming this, or 49. So he was getting old, but like he could have kept on playing it a couple more times. Roger Moore played it until he was 58. Like rewatching it after watching Casino Royale, you start to sort of think like, oh, that's just silly. The Halle Berry and Pierce Brosnan, the dialogue between them. There's a bit where they first meet, and she comes out of the water and she's hot. And yeah, Halle Berry's hot, but like, it's in slow motion and there's water and everything. It's just like, it's all well and good. But the dialogue between her and Pierce Brosnan is very just like, what is going on here? They're just sort of saying like, yes, I'm here to watch the birds. And then she's like, oh, well, birds can be very sexual if you fuck them. And then he's just like, yes, they can be very sexual if you fuck them. So all of that is it's a bit on the nose and it's a bit cheesy and a bit corny and whatever. And it's like the whole film is just silly. Like the villain is great. Like the actor who plays him, Toby Stevens, I think his name is. He's the son of Maggie Smith. He's brilliant. I love some of the lines that he says in this. Like, course I want to bloody continue.
Course I want to bloody continue.
That is just brilliant. And then there's, let's settle this the old-fashioned way. First blood from the torso.
Let's do this the old-fashioned way. First blood drawn from the torso.
And then there's a bit where he's just like, oh, look, parachutes for the both of us.
Oh, look, parachutes for the both of us. Whoops, not anymore.
He just does everything with a smirk, smile, and he's a good villain. I like him, but he's a kind of a silly villain that I can't take seriously. But like I like him, and he's wearing this weird outfit at the end where he looks a bit ridiculous. Oh yeah, Madonna is in this film, and yeah, Madonna does the song, and it fits the movie. It fits the movie fine. Like it fits for what this is supposed to be. that's fine for the film, but it's not a great song. Like the last song, Garbage, The World Is Not Enough, was a much better song. This one was just like, I'm gonna Madonna. I can't stand Madonna. I think you need to retire, love. Sorry, love, but you need to retire. Anyway, enough about Madonna. But anyway, she gets a funny line as well. I don't like cockfights. You know, it's like a Carry On film. This film. It does take itself seriously at times though. Like there's a bit at the beginning. You know, it's set the opening action scene is pretty cool, and they set up North Korea. They're kind of like the main villains, and then the guy at the beginning, like he's the Korean villain. Like, well, there's two of them. One of them gets like diamonds shoved in his face, like explodes into his face, and then he becomes Diamond Face Guy. But then the other guy, the main villain, like he has a complete like DNA like facelift or whatever. To be honest with you, I'm a little bit confused. What did they actually do? Did they actually like go under the knife or what? I don't really understand. Like, or did they actually like? Did they take his consciousness from his brain and put him into another body, or did they take his brain and put him into another body, or did they actually facially reconstruct his face? Is that what they did? It's confusing, but also ridiculous and silly. But it fits the movie's tone perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. But yeah, he becomes a posh British person with ginger hair, Gustav Graves. And that's kind of hilarious, you know? It's kind of funny. But the other guy, he attempts to have his face changed, but then doesn't because Bond goes to Havana or wherever it is. And he goes into that place and says, Delectados. We don't do delectados. Yeah, there's a guy who says Delectados. Delectados. I don't know what I'm talking about. I've gone mad. This is the problem. When I do multiple videos in one day, I go absolutely mad, and I start to like my voice starts to get like that. It's getting a bit scratchy. Don't have any water. But no, the film is bonkers, but like I kind of do love it. Like secretly, I love it. Judi Dench is back. You got John Cleese in it, who's Q now. For one movie, I do kind of love it because it's a film that I remember watching as a little kid, but it is ridiculous. Like the invisible car, I think maybe it's too much. But I mean, then again, that's where things were going. It was like bigger, better. You know, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. But like, I do like the car chase in like the Ice Palace. That's pretty cool. I like the way that you've got like Bond's car up against another car, like a villain car, and they've both got gadgets, and it's like, you know, the villain shoots that gadget, and then Bond then shoots that gadget to counteract that whatever he did, like that missile or whatever. And it's like, I do like all of that. That's cool. And then that villain, the guy from Fast and Furious, he gets a good death scene, which is pretty cool. I think it depends on what your mood is with what type of film. There was a film actually like back in 2015, Kingsman. I love the Kingsman franchise, okay? That sort of did what this film did, where it just sort of went, you know what, we're just going to make a fun action spy thriller. We're not going to overthink, you know, we're not going to be too realistic, you know, not going to be too serious, and we're just going to have fun. And that's what this film is, basically. It's like what Kingsman is, but Kingsman's more violent, I suppose. Die Another Day is like a 12, or a 12A. But it is just like depending on what you're into. Like, do you want to watch a serious James Bond film? Watch Casino Royale. You know, do you want to watch a more lighthearted, fun, silly, you know, James Bond film? It's got lasers in it. There's a good bit where a guy who's called Mr. Kill gets a laser shot through his mouth, through the back of his head, and then through his mouth. That bit's quite cool. Rosamund Pike. I haven't mentioned her. Rosamund Pike is in this film, and she's great. I've seen Rosamund Pike in real life. I've actually been on set with Rosamund Pike. Yes, in the film Entebbe, 7 Days in Entebbe, I think it's called that. I'm on the plane as an extra. I'm a hostage. And she comes in with a gun and is just like, don't move, don't move, we shoot you, like that. She's doing a funny accent. And she actually did point the gun at me at one point, like proper, like, don't move, like that. She did. That obviously is not in the film, the bit where she did that, because that's not, I don't think that was supposed to be in the script. She was just sort of like, she was just like playing about. But anyway, that was an interesting day, or it was an interesting couple of days, because I got to see Rosamund Pike in real life, and she didn't look like Rosamund Pike. But no, I'll put a little picture up of me. That's me. That's me on set. That was back in 2017, I believe. And then the film came out in 2018. So I've been around a bit, you know. I seem to pop up here and there. Yeah, I'm like an enigma. I'll just show up, and then people will be like, "Whoa, what?" So yeah, that was interesting. But Rosamund Pike, she's great in this. She's like really posh and like sexy, and she's just like, "Oh, 007, death for breakfast or death for dinner and sex for breakfast or sex for dinner and death for breakfast." I can't remember what she says, but she's hot. And yeah, she's at the end, she's wearing like a sports bra for some reason. The director was just like, right, Rosamund, pick up a sword, get in your sports bra. You're going to fight Halle Berry. It's going to be hot. It's going to be ridiculous, but it's going to be hot. So yeah, I've lost my train of thought now because I'm thinking about Rosamund Pike. I loved her. I love her. I think she's great. So in summary, this is a ridiculous movie. Giant laser beams. You know, the whole bit with him windsurfing on a tsunami. It's ridiculous and silly, but it's also kind of amazing at the same time. I remember watching that when I was a little kid. I was buzzing. I thought, oh my God, this film is the greatest film ever made. But it is just a bit ridiculous. And I would have loved it if Pierce Brosnan could have come back for another one. It would have been cool to see him do this again. And it was actually like a bit, because again, it's like he was my Bond, like while I was alive. Like I wasn't alive when Timothy Dalton was Bond. And it was kind of like, I thought Pierce Brosnan would just be Bond forever. You know, I thought he would just be, you know, next couple of years, right, here he is in another movie, you know, doing the same thing again. You know, this time he goes into space. You know, that seems like if they'd have followed on with another film after this, that seemed like the logical kind of thing that they would do. But I do have a soft spot for this film. I do have a soft spot for this film because, you know, Pierce Brosnan's great in it, and it's funny. It's a funny film. It's an entertaining ride, but I think it doesn't quite have the balance. Like World Was Not Enough, I think had a good balance of comedy, serious stuff. Same with Tomorrow Never Dies and GoldenEye. They had the right balance. I feel like this goes a little bit too far, a little bit too ridiculous, a little bit too sci-fi. You know, they were just doing that to try and compete with other movies, you know. And like the Batman movies, like in a way, the James Bond films are a little bit like the Batman movies, like because the last, like, you had Batman and Robin with George Clooney. And then after that, there was a bit of a gap. And then we had Batman Begins, which rebooted everything nicely and, you know, made it more dark and serious and stuff. And so that's kind of like what this film, you know, this is like the Batman and Robin that made the producers go, maybe we need to rethink this. Maybe we could make some budget cuts. Maybe we need a new younger actor to play the role. Somebody a little bit more muscular. You know, a little bit, you know, maybe a little bit different looking, like not your conventional James Bond. And I think that was the right move. At the time, I wasn't happy. And in fact, in the build up to Casino Royale, when I saw the announcement, I was just like, fuck, no. You know, I was not happy. I remember seeing that on the news. And I was just like, really? This guy, the guy from Lara Croft? What? And then I saw the trailer and I still wasn't fully on board, but I saw like Judi Dench in the trailer and I thought, okay, that's M. And then I saw this blonde guy playing James Bond and I thought, I don't know about this. But then as it got closer and closer to the release of the film, I started to get a little bit more hyped and a little bit more excited, and I saw interviews and things, and I was more open to it. And then I think at that time as well, I did rewatch Die Another Day, And then I kind of thought, maybe we do need a new Bond. Maybe this is a good time. But as I said, I would have loved it if he could have come back. And I mean, they have talked about maybe him actually coming back as an older or retired, James Bond. And that might be a good idea if it's just a one-off. If it's just a funny kind of like one-off, silly, movie that's separate from all the other, the main James Bond franchise, then I'd be okay with that. I mean, Amazon, they own the rights to the character. They might as well use they might as well use it and just do as much as they can do, as many different James Bond projects as humanly possible. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna stop talking now, and I'm gonna stop reviewing this film. But yeah, Die Another Day. It's a ridiculous film, but it's a fun film. It depends on what your mood is, and it's fun to see Pierce Brosnan in this role. It does like, it tries to be a little bit serious at the beginning, where he's just like, he's in prison being tortured. But then all of that just like goes out of the window, and you've got weird flirting. It's Toby Stevens like overacting, but in a good way. I like it. It's like, of course I want to bloody continue. Rosamund Pike, it's all good. At least Judi Dench came back again after this, so that's good. But no more John Cleese. He wasn't able to come back. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna stop talking now because I've gone on too long. And I think I'm getting a bit tired now, and I'm feeling pretty horny, I'll be honest with you. Anyway, yeah, that's it for Pierce Brosnan. Now we're on to the Daniel Craigs. Finally. Bloody hell, it took a long time to get here. Yeah, anyway, goodbye, Pierce Brosnan. Yeah, that's it. All right, thank you very much. Cheers. Bye-bye.